another episode of the Devil's Bit podcast. You're here with me and Glenn. My name's Rory, and this is Ireland's fastest growing Manchester United fan podcast. Glenn, what is the crack?
Good. I'm dabbing here. I'm excited.
I've never seen you dab.
Just have a look at it again, Rory. Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. Something like that, anyway. But yeah, excited, man. Buzzing for what's happening in the last couple of days.
Big news, man. We've been waiting for this for a while, to be honest.
Yeah, waiting for it for a while. Didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest with you. I always have them little few nerves because you're thinking, are we ever going to get a player that caliber over the line? But we did, so credit where credit is due.
Yeah, and for it to happen so quickly, and to be honest, I thought this was going to drag out. Could even go to January.
It seemed that way, man, but it's something that we haven't seen in years, Roddy, where we've gotten players in quick. Normally we're waiting till deadline day to get these players in, you know what I mean? But it's refreshing to know that there's the issues that we needed to be addressed are being addressed. So I'm buzzing.
Big time. And for anyone listening and maybe doesn't know, we're talking about the signing of Varane to Manchester United from Real Madrid. Glenn, what was the final figure that it came in under?
I think it's £41 million, and that includes the add-ons. So I think it's 34 million up front, and then the add-ons added up to 41 million, which is, regardless of his contract, and he's in the last year's contract, that's great money. I mean, because when you think about it, Roddy, 50 million is the starting off rate for anyone, really. You're looking at fullbacks, the likes of Kyle Walker and everything, Mendy and all that came in for the City in the last couple of years. 50 million was the going rate for them. So we've done well to get the player of Varane's caliber in at that price, regardless of the contract situation.
Big time, man. Who do you think's working? Who do you think's putting that work in? What's changed, man, behind the scenes, I'm guessing?
No, I think it's a mixture. I think Ollie and John Murtaugh have definitely, are working in perfect harmony, it seems. It looks like Ollie can just go to him and tell him, listen, these are the players I need. These are the positions I want to strengthen. He probably has a list there to say, look, that's the players I want. And Murtaugh's gone and done his bit. Woodward definitely have a part to play in it. And Matt George as well. He is apparently involved in the negotiations with Madrid. So I think the director of football coming in, or football director, whatever way you want to put it, has definitely had an impact on what we're doing transfer-wise. Obviously, with Sancho coming in and now Varane, and we're still only in July. So, as we were saying, you look at players that we've brought in, Rory, in the past, like Bruno Fernandes. He came in the January transfer window, and he came in on the 31st of January. That way, near the end of the window, you look at Cavani last season. This time last year, came in deadline day, didn't look like we wanted him, turned out to be a decent boy, or decent signing, I should say, because we didn't pay anything for him, but came in on deadline day. But now we're starting to get these players in so we can integrate into the squad. I know Varane's not there yet. He has to come over and quarantine and all, but still, it's great, exciting stuff.
Yeah, you're looking at him coming in second, third game of the season.
Really, I think he'd be in before that, Rory.
Do you think so?
I think he'd be in before that, man. Yeah, I think the deal's supposed to be wrapped up by next week. So I reckon he'd be in for it, yeah. I reckon.
Anyways, and just for people who are listening and can't see the screen, I suppose, we have a bar scrolling across the end there, and Ollie's talking about getting this deal over the line and what a great player Varane is, just of his person and his professionalism and the cups that he's won. He's won it all nearly, we could say. And then he's talking about how Sir Alex Ferguson tried to sign him a few years ago at the other end of his career, but now we've finally got him. And even though that was the other end of his career, Glenn, you saw him in the Euros and you've seen him with Real Madrid, he's still a top dog, when it comes to...
He's in his prime, Rory. He's only 28. Fergie tried to sign him when he was 18. It didn't happen. He went to Real Madrid. These things happen. There was, you go back to even 2018, there was talk of Woodward willing to sanction 100 million to bring Varane to United for Mourinho at the time when we needed a centre-back. I don't think, to be honest, I know Mourinho would have wanted him, but it just shows you that I think Woodward wanted him more because, he was willing to say, listen, there's 100 million for him. So it's definitely a player that we've had our eye on for years. We finally got him. He's only 28. As you said there, he's won it all. And you look at, as we said, Bonucci and Chiellini, they're in their mid-30s, 35 and 36, if I'm not mistaken. And Varane's only 28, and I said he might be coming here to get his last big contract and all. He got a 4-year deal with the option of a further year, and he's on 250 grand a week. And I think that's decent, Roddy. Decent money for a player of his caliber. I really do. It's quality stuff.
Yeah. And what do you think Real Madrid's angle is? Real Madrid are saying, listen, we're broke.
I think it's the way Varane handled things himself, him and his representatives. They went and they just said, listen, it's not about money. It's about, a different experience. I want to experience something different. And he didn't throw his toys out of the pram either. Do you know what I mean? Apparently this deal was wrapped up a couple of weeks ago with United and Varane.
Yeah.
And I think, and it is
details, weren't they, when he was on holidays?
And it is a case of Real Madrid needing the money as well. Like, they're not as bad as Barcelona. Barcelona are in dire straits, properly in dire straits. But Madrid are not too far off them. So they need the money. But as I said, £41 million, Rory, including the add-ons, is unreal. You won't get better than that. But there's still a lot of work to do, Rory. Like, it's great on paper. We have to see how he settles in and can he bring us forward. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, at that price, I don't think there's too much pressure on him or Ollie or the crew for that matter. Normally, when we bring players in for huge money, there's pressure straight away. But I don't think that's going to be the case for Varane, just because, as I said, like, £41 million these days is virtually nothing. So happy days.
I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that partnership with Maguire. Because, I mean, Maguire's coming on leaps and bounds, and Varane's only going to add to that.
Well, yeah, because you're looking at Maguire, Rory. Look at Maguire. He loves to come out with the ball.
Yeah.
And Varane loves to sit there and defend.
Yeah.
So, Maguire's Maguire's going to get confidence and he's going to want to push up into midfield. We've seen it in the Euros. We've seen it a couple of times for us as well. When Maguire gets going and starts driving into midfield, there's very few who can stop him. So it's exciting.
It is. Yeah.
And we have that depth now. That's the important thing.
Yeah. And then we can free up, hopefully, those two centre defence midfielders there, Fred and McTominay, sorry, and get some movement in there. That's what I was always worried about, is how we get forward. So if Maguire's pushing up, that there's no need for these two to be sitting there and get the ball and pass it forward. You know what I mean? We're pushing that counter now, and with the speed we have up there, you're bringing in Sancho, Greenwood, and Rashford. Like, the speed of them, even James if he comes on, and then you have Cavani up there as a finisher. I mean, it's gonna be some season, man.
This is the thing. The excitement is building. Like, me and you are just talking here, and you can see it in you, you can see it in me, and you can feel it all over social media and all. Every fan is excited now, and it just goes with the territory, because there feels like there's no panic. It feels like we have a house in order for the first time in a long time, and that's what I'm happy with. So we'll see what happens. I was listening to a few programs. Probably give a few of the listeners a bit of a laugh. I was listening to TalkSport, and you have your man Jamie O'Hara on there with Goldstein. And I don't know whether Jamie O'Hara is getting paid to slate United, but he reckons that we're not going to win any type of trophy this season. But the biggest thing that he says that John Stones is better than Varane. He actually said that. And he said it about 3 or 4 times on the show. I was just thinking, what is this fella at? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's obviously getting paid to be on the show, but there must be bonuses in there to say controversial things. Do you know that? Do you know that way? It was just madness what he was saying. But you look at it. Huh?
Did you write into that one?
I would have loved him to be able to get on the phone. I would have loved him to be able to get on the phone and have a chat with him. You know what I mean? Because he's basically saying, he was saying Ollie's not good enough for him. That's what he was saying. Ollie's not good enough. You won't win that with him. He was saying Cavani, won't get through the whole season, which is probably right with. He was saying that what did he say? He says Foden's better than someone. I can't really remember now off the top of my head because I was watching it the other day.
Foden. Well, Foden's a great player.
No, he is a great player, but he said something I can't really remember. I might come to me during the podcast. If it does, I'll bring it back up, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, bring it back. Yeah. But a few of the things you've said there, I suppose he's touching on our concerns. He's highlighting them. Because, you could say Ollie's a great manager. With these players, he's going all the way. But last year, he proved that he's getting better.
Yeah, but Roddy, the thing about bringing players in is that you have the likes of Varane that wanted to come.
Yeah,
Sancho wanted to come.
Yeah.
Which is something we probably haven't seen in a long time. Like, do you know what I mean? And that has a ripple effect, because if you think about the likes of Varane coming in, all our players are looking at that and saying, yeah, if that's a place that he might want to go to, then it's a place I might want to go to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, big time, man.
I'm sure he said that or something. Do we have something there for what Varane said or something? The reason why he wanted to go or something?
Do we have that there? Oh, we do. Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah, I'll get that up now. I'll read it out as well. So, reasons why Raphael Varane is leaving Real Madrid for Man United. Prospects of playing in the Premier League for a top European club like United, which is special to him. Prospects of playing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who was pushing every day for him. So that says a lot about United, but it also says a lot about Ole, that a player would want to play under Ole for certain reasons.
He's obviously saying the right things, man. That's the thing,
yeah.
isn't it?
He is.
He's obviously had to been talking to Varane. Varane's been talking to him. Wouldn't put Ole down in any way, shape, or form in terms of Ole's career, but you're talking to a chap that's won the World Cup. You're talking to a chap that's won 4 European Cups, more than we've won in our entire history. Do you know what I mean? Like, so obviously Ole came across really well to him, and as we said, he wanted to, play for the top European club. Now, you could make the argument, or you can't even make the argument. Real Madrid are probably the best club or the biggest, and I hate saying that, but just with the amount of European Cups they've won, you know what I mean? Like, and Varane's leaving that to come to us.
They are, but I suppose what he's saying there as well is you have the Premier League there, which is probably the best national league, I would say.
Yeah, it is. No doubt.
World, and especially now with the type of managers you have managing the teams. Like, I mean, next year is going to be serious competition. Liverpool are going to want to improve. Chelsea's investments with, all the players they brought in, and Lampard going and Tuchel coming in. I mean, there's fierce competitions there. Man City, are they going to get Haaland? Who knows? The team they have already is unbelievable. Are they going to get Kane? Any news on that, actually?
I don't know. The last time I heard was 160 million or something. But I mean, you can't give 160 million like for
160.
Kane. Yeah, because the likes of say
I don't want him to go.
Yeah, but I mean, Rory, look, 160 million for one player is ridiculous. I'll tell you why, because a lot of Premier League clubs, the smaller Premier League clubs, that's what they would make in a year. You can't be given that for the player. I know it's different for City because they're loaded by billionaires, but still, you know what I mean? So, I don't see that one happening. But to be honest with you, I don't care. The way I'm feeling at the moment, the way we're going about our business, I don't care.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If you hadn't brought the signings that we have in, then you'd be a little bit like, what's going on? And look at these are doing jobs. But I genuinely think that there'll be clubs looking at what we're doing. And they're getting their house together.
Getting their house together, that's right. So Varane's talking about Ole there and playing under Ole, and suppose Ole just signed a new contract as well. So do you want to tell us a bit about that, Glenn? I'll read out what Ed Woodward said. One of his comments, anyways. Ole and his staff have worked tirelessly putting the foundations in place for long-term success on the pitch, and that's basically what you're saying now, and we're seeing it. But tell us a bit about the Ole contract and what's involved.
Well, look, his deal was up at the end of this season, and we know that we talked about this ages ago, Rory, when it was announced that Ole would be getting a new deal. Obviously, you know what I mean. It wasn't signed on anything yet, but it was always on the table that it was going to happen. He signed till 2024. He's the option of a further year. So it's basically a 4-year deal, if you look at it that way. But, I mean, look, I suppose you had to give him the contract because you don't want it rumbling on the next season again where a manager's contract is being run down. It starts to dominate what's going on, regardless of what's happening on the pitch. There'll be always questions about it. So if you're doing well, it'll crop up. If the team were doing bad, it'll always be hanging over it, which wouldn't be great. But there's been a lot of talk about the length of the contract, just in terms of the fact that Ole hasn't managed to get a trophy with us at the moment. We're going into our 5th season without a trophy, which is not great for a club like us. We should be winning stuff even if we're not doing well. You know what I mean? It's in our DNA, and Ole knows that. So I would say that there's been steady progress, not rapid progress. You know what I mean? Obviously the likes of Woodward and all are happy with what they're saying. They're behind the scenes, so that they can feel it a lot more than we can. But there was a great point made there the other day. You have, Guardiola and Tuchel who've signed contracts with Chelsea and Man City, and European Cup winners, Premier League winners, and they've only been given contract extensions to 2023. So there's a lot of people saying like, why are Ollie getting longer than them without actually winning that? So I can understand where people are coming from there, but at the same time, we do look like we're in a much stronger position than we have been in the last couple of seasons. Like even when Mourinho was there and we won the 2 trophies or 3 trophies, whatever way you want to look at it, things didn't seem right. You know what I mean? But now they do under Ollie, and you can see that. Like, it was a pity that we didn't win the Europa League final last season.
Also was, yeah.
I think at the end of the day, like if you look at the progression, we have progressed under Ollie. You know what I mean? Like finishing second, on top of finishing third the season before that. You know what I mean? And as we said, we want to try and have a bit of a, be in the title contention with the last couple of weeks to see where we are. And I think, you need to have that little bit of stability. And I think that contract gives Ollie that, and it gives the team and the club that. And it's something that we've been built on for years. So
big time. It gives the club that, you said it there, and that's what Ed Woodward said, the foundations. And he also went on to say, so he's kind of looking back at the past year, the results have been becoming increasingly visible over the past 2 seasons, and we are all looking forward to seeing this exciting team develop further in the years ahead. And that's, I suppose, where we're at the moment. So we're looking at the years ahead, what's going to come. Honestly, I think if Ollie doesn't win something this year, he's in trouble. I think he will get the year, unless things go seriously south. But I don't see that happening with the type of players we have there, in the depth we're building on the bench. But end of the year, if we don't even win, like the league,
we have to win something, Rory.
We need
We have to win something.
Yeah.
The pressure is on, bro. And you look at it, like the pressure is on Ollie, because no matter what, like, the contract is as long as it's for 3 years with the option for 4 that deal, grand, fair enough. But if you look at Frank Lampard last season, he spent over 200 million. He brought in Varane, Thiago Silva, Havertz. He got sacked because it wasn't going well for him. You know what I mean? We can't afford for that to happen. The one thing that we've been guilty of in the last couple of seasons is not starting the season off well. When Fergie was there during the 90s and the early 2000s, we were notoriously slow starters, but we were able to make it up in the second part of the season and go on and win the league. It's changed since then, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's all about the start you make. And if you don't make the right start, we're in trouble. So I think, the club of backed Ollie, which is something that we've all been, crying out for. So now it's up to him and the team now to show us what he can actually do. But again, I'd be confident, because players walking into that dressing room now, like there's a good feeling in that dressing room when you look at Sancho and you look at Varane, and we're still talking about bringing in another midfielder and everything. So I think we're in the best shape we've been in since Fergie left. That I'd go as far as saying that, because we've a manager that we know. He's been there for a couple of seasons, and he's bringing in the players that he wants to bring in. Even with the likes of Wan-Bissaka and Maguire and Dan James, when they came in, they were players he wanted. And now Varane and Sancho coming in, they're players he wanted. It's the first time we've been able to do that since Fergie left, really.
Yeah, so and I'll just read this out now. So this is from Ollie himself. Everyone knows the feeling I have for the club. I'm delighted to have signed this new contract. It's an exciting time for Manchester United. We built a squad with a good balance of youth and experienced players that are hungry for success. And Glenn, what he's saying there really is, well, what I'm taking is, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but it's that balance. Like, he obviously says the word balance, so I'm taking that straight from his quote, you know what I mean? But looking at the youth, so we are looking at Greenwood, even Sancho himself is quite a young English player. Rashford as well, young. But then the success is Varane, even Pogba. They know what it's like to win big trophies, and it's that balance of the experienced professional players, even the likes of Cavani, being there to support the youth and give that youth the feeling that they're winners too. This is what it's like to win. And once I imagine you win a Premier League, or you win a Champions League, you're just hungry for more. And I
Yeah,
think there's a blocker there with the likes of Rashford and Greenwood, especially coming in after the Euros and that unfortunate penalty shootout that they had to go through and the backlash they got after. So this year they're going to need that encouragement from the more professional and more experienced players to push
yeah.
through, show them what it's like to win. Because if they don't win something in the next few years, heads will drop. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Roddy, definitely. And the thing is, like, there was a famous quote by Alan Hansen in 96, 95, 96, when he turned around and says, you don't win anything with kids. When Fergie got rid of Hughes and Ince and all them type of players, and he brought in Scholes and Bolton, Beckham and all that, he says, you don't win anything with kids. And he's right. Even though they were a huge part of that success, the class of 92 coming into the side, and we did win the Premier League that year, you had Cantona, you had Bruce, you had Pallister, you had Schmeichel. Do you know what I mean? Players like that. And now we have the likes of Varane. We've, Pogba at the moment with that experience. You've Sancho coming in. You know what I mean? So I think what Ollie's doing is building off the foundations that were laid by Matt Busby and Alex Ferguson. And I think it's the first time that he's been able to come out and say it as confidently as he did in that statement. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've heard him before say, yeah, there's loads of work to do, and he'll still say that. But I feel like he actually thinks that he's onto something now. Like the rest of us. Do you know what I mean? But it's on him to prove that now. I don't want to hear any more excuses. I want to see him use the whole squad this season, Rory. I do. I don't want to see players playing week in and week out when we know that they're carrying injuries or you know that they just need a break. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to rotate the squad because
He's going to have to, Ben. There's no way those players can go through that again. There's no way. And you'll see Maguire's injury come back. You'll see Rashford's injury come back, I'd say, quite quickly if there's no rotation. Like, even if you're winning, like Maguire's happily, he played every game the Euro that he was able to play when he started playing, played every minute. But, if you're 2-0, 3-0 up, just take him off. Like, you know what I mean? Give the chap a break.
Yeah, but Roddy, you have to know as well. Like, for instance, you want to go with your best team all the time. Don't get me wrong, but there is going to be games during the season, even in the Premier League, where you have to chop and change. And for instance, I know we're banging on about Varane because he came in and it's huge news. But sometimes you're going to have to put the likes of Lindelof in there. You're going to have to pick them games out where you're going to say that game's going to suit him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we've another game coming up in Europe. That way, we're at the business end of the season, and you are playing 3 games in 5 or 6 days, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, trust the squad. And you mentioned Rashford there, Rory. And, like, you look at the way he was at the end of last season, he wasn't great. Ankle injuries, shoulders injuries, and I think that proved in the Euros. You know what I mean? He didn't really get a look in with Southgate. And when Southgate first came in, Rashford was sort of his go-to man, really. He was he still is young, but he was, 18, 19 when Southgate came in, and there's talk now of Rashford being asked not to, go for the shoulder surgery. But I think, listen, let him go, get him ready. You know what I mean? Put your trust and say, yeah, go away, have the surgery, have a bit of a break, and then come back in at the end of October and all. And now look, because that's like a new signing. Do you know what I mean? Like when you have players there that are fit and ready to go. I don't want to see Rashford walking around carrying injuries because it's not going to help him during his career, and it doesn't help us in the long term of reaching our goals of picking up silverware. So I think Ollie has to be a little bit more astute in that aspect of it. But I think he will, Roddy. I think he's learning. That's the thing. I think this is a season to show us that he's learned from previous mistakes. Like, you look at that game against PSG in the Champions League last season when Fred got a yellow card. He was going in on tackles. Fred sort of lost his head in that game. Everyone was crying out for Fred to be taken off. He didn't, and he got sent off. You'll be looking now this season. Even at the Europa League, there was time in the final. There was times to change things, and he didn't. So I want to see that now brought into Ollie to bring that sort of stuff into this season. I'm not saying just for the sake of it, but just game management. We need to have more of that. But I think with the signings that we're making so far, hopefully one more to come, or maybe 2 more if there's a right back in there or whatever, you want to try and have that squad depth that you can do that.
Yeah, bro, I'm with you do. And I suppose talking about people coming in, I suppose we also have to talk about people going out. And the big one is Paul Pogba. Whether or not he's going to go, So there's a bit more controversy around that, and Glenn, you probably feel the same there, and I know your opinions
We
on them.
can't get away with this, chap. We can't get away with him. We can't. Every week, I knew it was going to be like this. I knew it. I knew.
We all know Bob was on his last year, that contract wise, so he needs to sign a new contract.
Is it his last year? Yeah. Oh, yes, go on. Yeah, it's his last season. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's his last season off contract, so we could lose him then for the second time without making big bucks on him. So it is my opinion that we should let him go, cash in.
Who wants him?
Well, who wants him is right, but the rumours going around now is that Liverpool are not keen, but they're having talks with Raiola.
This is Raiola doing what Raiola does. I don't think I heard today that Liverpool are interested in terms of getting them signed in January so they can get them on a free. But I can't see that happening. And the reason why is you know what I mean? Even though it's Liverpool, you have to respect him. You have to respect Jurgen Klopp. He knows what he wants from his players, and he demands high work ethic, especially from his midfielders. Do you think he's going to get that from Pogba? Oh, you know what I mean? We haven't got it in the last 5 years.
Change, man.
So I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's Raiola probably just putting stories out there to try and panic United into giving them what Pogba wants. You look at Pogba, he wants 400 grand a week. He's not worth that. Simple as that. You look at PSG, they're meant to be interested. Apparently, 50 million. United accept 50 million. But there hasn't been any concrete offers from PSG, which is annoying me because we're now going into August. And I was saying there today, why don't United just put a deadline on it and say, if you want them, come up with the money before such and such. Because we need to be in a position then to go out and strengthen. If he loses him, we have to replace him. You know what I mean? And this is the issue for me. If Pogba wants to leave, come out and say it. If he wants to stay, sign a new deal.
That's never going to happen. We know that. And we know Raiola is just playing hard to get. I think he knows all he wants him. And I don't know why all he wants him so much. I think he could be replaced. So
this is the thing, Rory. This is where Ollie needs to learn.
Yeah,
he's sort of stuck between I need him, I don't need him.
Yeah.
Do you know that way? Like where there's a decision
he needs him at his best. There's no point in having him if he's not gonna perform.
Yeah.
So there is other options there, Glenn. I mean, we can go around circles talking about Pogba because that's like you said, it's nearly every program every episode we've something else to talk about Pogba about his transfer or his performance or who knows what's going to come out of the woodwork. But there is rumours that Saul Niguez, maybe from Atletico. We were talking before the podcast, and you mentioned that he's just signed a new contract with Atletico.
No, he signed a contract a couple of years ago for 10 years, Rory. So I don't think he's able to get out of it until 2026. So you can imagine that Atletico are not going to let him go on the cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't see that one happening. Really, I don't.
But I suppose if you get big bucks for Paul Pogba, like maybe have a bit of cash to splash. You know what I mean, Glenn?
Rory, I honestly don't think we're going to get out for Pogba. That's the truth. And I'm not saying because he's not good enough. I just think people like our clubs are going to be looking and saying, you know what? Why would we pay 50 million in say August when we could go and try and get him for the free in January?
Yeah,
and he does end up signing a new deal. No club is out of pocket, and no club is missing that because he never had him. Do you know what I mean? That's the situation I'm in.
Is he worth
it? No, I don't know if it's worth. I just think everyone sort of had enough of the circus that is Pogba. You know what I mean? We were I was in the Manchester United supporters area group today, and I put a post in there about Pogba. And people were just saying, like, why doesn't he come out and say that he wants to stay or wants to go? Why is he like being silent all the time? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think, you want to stay loyal to your agent or whatever. He's the one that makes all the money and everything. But you know what I mean? Like, how can you turn around and think that he's worth 400 grand a week? Like, how can you back that up, really? Do you know what I mean? What's there to back that up over the last couple of years?
Yeah, and maybe it is that he'll start performing at a different club in a different environment, different league away from the Premier League. Maybe it's just not suited him too much anymore.
Rory, why would you want if you're Pogba now, right? And you're at the being at the club when it's at the being at its lowest, really. When Mourinho got sacked, when Ollie first came in, why would you want to go now seeing the likes of Sancho and your international teammate Varane coming in? That doesn't make sense to me.
And
Like,
they
these should
actually
be
had
players that excite him.
there was a tweet there of the two of them having, I think it was a tweet, of the two of them having a video call. So maybe Varane's trying to test the waters, say what United like. Like Pogba's giving his honest opinion, but Varane is still calm. If Pogba doesn't like United, so Glenn, it's hard to tell because you're right. Pogba doesn't come out and say what's on his mind, and he doesn't do that because there's money to be made on the decisions of clubs and what they want to pay for him. So I think it's a waiting game with Pogba. If I was to say, I think I would hope that he'd go because I don't want to be in a situation in a year where he hasn't signed his contract, he's not interested, and we're letting him go on free. But let's have a look at some of the stats for Pogba over the last few years, Glenn.
In the Premier League, yeah. It's not the Premier League, yeah.
This is the Premier League now that we're looking at. So anyone on the listening just on the podcast and can't see this, I'll read them out. So last year, Pogba played 26 games, he got 3 goals and 3 assists. The year before that, 19 to 20, he played 16 games, he got 1 goal and 3 assists. So consistent on assists there on that one between those 2 years. Then year 18 to 19, he played 35 games with 13 goals and 9 assists. The year before that, 2017 to 2018, he was on 27 games, 6 goals and 10 assists. And then when he came to the club again in 2016-17, he played 30 games with 5 goals and 4 assists. So that's a good season actually coming in, and that's pretty strong there. And then you see Glenn, it built up. 18, he built up, he was building, consistently getting better. 19, again, 13 goals compared to 6 the year before. And then it just dropped off.
Yeah, and do you know what, Rory, what sticks out to me there? The 2018-19 season, that's the season where Mourinho got sacked. So then you had Ollie coming in. And I remember Ray saying this at the time when Ollie first came in, Pogba, got off to a great start under him, and he was a big player for us and all. He scored a lot of goals and he made a lot of assists and all. And that's obviously you can see that there in black and white in Premier League teams. But then we've also heard, the argument that over the years Pogba hasn't had the players around him to be, to drag the team to where it should have been. Yeah. I think them stats there from the 2018-19 season show that we know this, he has got the ability to be the best. But when you look at them going into the last 2 seasons, it's dropped off. And it drops off, Rory, because he doesn't care, man. That's the difference to me between world class and, good. It's the fact that, 1 goal and 3 assists. I know he only played 16 games or whatever in the league, but still, that's not good enough. And then, look at last season, and although we're doing very well last season for us, Rory, 3 goals and 3 assists, 26 games. I don't think that's good enough either. You know what I mean? Now, I know it's only the Premier League we're looking at, but, it's dropped off because to me, he doesn't care.
Like you said, Glenn, there is a good player in there. Could be world class. And are we saying that Mourinho brought it out of them? He pushed the right buttons?
No, I don't think so, Roddy. I think if you look at the 2017-18 season there, the second season under Mourinho, we finished miles off Man City in second. They what's 6 goals and 10 assists. I mean, the assist record there is great. That's what you want from Pogba. That's what he's really brought in for. But then, as we said, 2018-19, Mourinho gets sacked, and then all of a sudden, Pogba steps up, sticks his shoulders out, sticks his chest out, and starts doing the business for Ollie, which I thought was a bit strange. And everyone thought that, the players were at the down tools for Mourinho, and then they were at the picking them back up for Ollie. But it just shows you then, I remember at the end of that season, 2018-19 season, Pogba dropped off like the rest of the team. But I don't think there's any excuse then for the next 2 seasons for them not to be in double figures for anything in terms of goals or assists in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when you look at the likes of, say, Frank Lampard and all that for Chelsea, who was constantly getting into double figures. from a midfield role. And I know he's been playing a little bit deeper and everything, more than what Lampard was doing, because he's always arriving into the box late. But a player of Pogba's ability should be hitting double figures for you in terms of goals and assists, or at least in one of them in the league. And he hasn't. So I just think, my point on it was that I don't think he puts enough in for the shoot. And I think that shows it there.
Yeah, no, it does show it. And I mean, if you're going off those stats, like, why are you so pushed for him to stay? That's the question I'd be asking. If it is the case where Ollie is that pushed for him to stay at United. Now, Glenn, I think we're going to leave it there that week, because we can ramble on about Pogba for hours, and if Ray was here, this conversation would turn into a heated argument, no doubt. But we just want to tell everyone you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. If you're listening on the podcast through audio only, you can go to Spotify, you can go to Google Podcasts and Podbean to tune in there. Now, next week, we're going to just release a promo clip, and then we're going to big it up for the start of the season. We're going to be moving the show to Sunday, so we'll be releasing on the Monday. That's when the podcast will go out. So you get our initial reaction after the match day weekend, whoever we might be playing. We'll also be going live to YouTube on our Facebook page, so you can catch us there, tune in, comment, live comments. That's what we want to see. We want to engage with that way and kind of let you decide where the conversation goes and what you want us to touch on. So it's going to be exciting. We're also starting a fantasy football team. So we're going to be competing against each other, and we'll kind of see how that goes. And we'll take your hints and tips on who should buy who. Glenn, you're nodding. I know you're
just give it up now, Rory. Just give it up now, man. I'm coming for you as well. I'm coming for it. That's all I'm going to say.
You're gunning for it, but
I'm gunning for it. Yeah.
You haven't been good at fantasy football in previous seasons. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning. Can
only judge you in your past. So listen, thanks for tuning in, Glenn. Great talking to you again, and Ray will be back with us for the first game of the season, please God, and hopefully we'll have some exciting guests on to chat through their opinions as well. So talk to you then, Glenn.
Yeah, see you later, mate.